Israel is upping its offensive in Lebanon. The IDF says it hit Hezbollah infrastructure in Beirut over the past day, including an underground weapons storage facility and command centers. Hezbollah claims to have carried out at least 4 separate attacks on Israel in response. Now the Lebanese health ministry says at least 50 people are dead and over 300 have been injured. Let's bring in Lebanese journalist and author Dalal Mawad for more on the latest in Lebanon. Thank you so much for joining us. So local government officials say Israel hit a hotel in Beirut without warning this morning. Our reporter there says that area is not under Hezbollah control. So what more can you tell us about that?
Yes, overnight, Israel's bombing has expanded beyond what is known as the Beirut suburbs, where most of the strikes in Beirut have been focused. And they did hit an area that is outside of the suburbs. It's a residential area, Diane. It's known for hosting embassies, ambassadors' residence. And it is unclear until now what the target was. What we know is that this was a hotel that hosted displaced people who were displaced by the recent escalation and bombing. There are unconfirmed reports that there was an Iranian diplomat. This has not been confirmed by local authorities. But of course, this is a residential area, as I said, and this is very dangerous because the scope of the bombing is expanding. Just a few hours ago, the Israeli army has called on the residents of the south of Lebanon, south of the so-called Litani River, to evacuate from this entire area. We're talking about 8% of Lebanon's total surface. This is an area where about more than 100,000 residents had been already displaced in the last war in 2024 and were never able to go back to their homes. So there are real fears today of this ground invasion expanding in the south of Lebanon. A lot of Lebanese wondering if the Israelis are going to go back to the pre-2000 when Israel occupied all of South Lebanon, or even all the way to Beirut, like in 1982. We don't know. What we know is that they're advancing on the ground, and things look very bad for Lebanon after Hezbollah made the mistake on Monday to launch these missiles into Israel. Although the government didn't want this, most of the Lebanese, Diane, don't want this. But let me say this, that there's also a sense that this ground incursion in the south had been planned for a while, and they waited for an excuse, and Hezbollah gave them that excuse. You mentioned the death toll, more than 50. There are hundreds injured, but there are also new or additional 30,000 families, Lebanese families, who've been displaced now from the south, and they're struggling, Diane, to find shelter in Beirut or in safe areas. And it's looking more and more that, a lot of places are not safe because of, I just mentioned what happened overnight in Hazmiya, which is an area outside of Beirut's suburbs. The Lebanese army is supposed to, be on the ground. This area where Israel is bombing and advancing is supposed to have been disarmed. Hezbollah must have been disarmed according to this ceasefire plan that Israel agreed to. But we see that the Lebanese army is having a lot of difficulties on the ground to advance, and we don't know how things are going to evolve, but we are hearing a lot from the Israeli side that they're going ahead with this bombing campaign. They're bombing the south, and we're fearing more waves of displacement, unfortunately. And I just want to mention that at the beginning of the week, the government, who had not wanted to get involved in this war, and for the first time in history, decided and said that Hezbollah's military activity has become unlawful. But the question is, how are they going to implement that? Are they capable? Is the Lebanese army today capable of doing anything about that? There have been some arrests, but to this day, the Hezbollah is still launching missiles on Israel, and the Israelis are expanding. And just to say something that with the ceasefire agreement, there were still a lot of violations from the Israeli side, thousands of them. And the Israelis were still in the south of Lebanon. They occupied several positions, until the Iran war started, the aggression on Iran by the U.S. and the Israelis started, and Hezbollah got involved at the beginning of the week.
All right, Dalal Mawad, I had all these questions for you. You answered them all in one shot. Dalal, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you.